happened.
Yep.
You know?
It didn't ever happen.
Right.
Not in film.
When one considers the exhaustive breadth of the history of the Jewish religious aristocracy, when we contemplate the leaders, the titans, and the meek, the significant figures in the history, one name rises quickly to the surface. During his time as the longest ruling high priest in New Testament Jerusalem, he's interviewed such notable persons as the apostles Peter and John. He's rubbed elbows with kings and prelates, the ruling elite of Judea, and he has stood in judgment of Jesus Christ, whom he personally charged with blasphemy and treason against Roman authority. Son-in-law of the first high priest under Roman rule, our guest stands at the pinnacle of the Jewish religious establishment. Please join me in welcoming the high priest Caiaphas to the studio. High priest Caiaphas, it is an honor to have you with us this evening.
Please, Your Excellency will do. You are well honored to have me here.
Well, thank you, Your Excellency. We are pleased that you have joined us. What was it like growing up?
We had all the usual privileges, private tutors, snorkeling at Caesarea at the coast, hunting trips to Mount Carmel. Seriously, though, I don't think people truly understand the pressures of a wealthy family, the educational requirements, the expectations. Married the daughter of the high priest, trained for the family business. It was expected that I would carry on in my father-in-law's footsteps. Never allowed to make a misstep. Tradition, that is what mattered.
You were appointed high priest like your father-in-law before you, and you ruled over the Jewish religious establishment for nearly 19 years. Appointed by Valerius Gratus, the Roman governor of the time, you were then reconfirmed by Pilate. Would you say the two of you were close?
I don't know about close. I think there was a mutual respect there. He recognized my ability to control the people. I was a member of the Sanhedrin, overseeing the judiciary of the Jewish people. That brought with it a certain amount of influence.
Now, you mentioned being a member of the Sanhedrin, but come on. As high priest, your role would have been significant, yes?
That is correct. I was its chairman.
And as chairman, it was you who saw Jesus and stood in judgment over him.
It is.
What was it like sitting as judge in a high-profile case like that?
I don't know if I would describe it as high profile. It is true that Jesus had a small following, but I wouldn't attribute any major standing to him, though. I don't want to make him more of a martyr. But it's true, his existence was polarizing. He excited masses of people, usually to riot. There was civil disobedience, wild, irrational claims about miracle healings. People even said that he raised the dead. All of this irrational behavior led to mass hysteria, and it took a calm, measured approach to deflate what was rapidly becoming a dangerous situation.
Now, you call them irrational claims, yet there were many who testified to the veracity of these occurrences. You yourself examined a man who claimed to have received sight after encountering Jesus. His parents were questioned, both testifying to his previous ocular disability, something that had been with him from his birth. There were also eyewitness accounts, all claiming that the man's eyes were opened and that he was able to see.
Look, the man was clearly lying, an offense which carries serious consequences, especially when members of the clerical office are involved. His parents were obviously covering up, trying to protect him. He was a con artist.
Jesus claimed to be the Messiah, yet you opposed this position. In Hebrew Weekly, you called him, and let me get this correct, a liar, claiming that he was a heretic and was plotting sedition, planning to overthrow Roman rule. You had him tried before Pilate, a man who was known for his cleanliness, and at your direction, Jesus was put to death. Do you still stand by that decision?
You have to understand our position. Jesus was not who he claimed to be. Take his mother, for example. She was an unmarried woman who became pregnant while engaged to the carpenter. When her husband denied engaging in amorous activities with her, she concocted this ludicrous story about how she was a virgin who was impregnated by none other than the Lord. Blasphemy! And from Nazareth, no less. That's like being from Federal Way or Kent. Nothing good ever comes from there. As the man entered his majority, he made a name for himself by teaching cliches and performing miracles. I mean, really, love your neighbor as yourself. I am the bread of life. The meek shall inherit the earth. When has the meek ever done anything? You don't get anywhere by being meek. Honestly, who believes this manure? The Messiah is supposed to rescue us from oppression. Sure, I accused him of sedition against Rome. I needed the governor's approval to get rid of the man. The Messiah will rescue us, save us, defeat our enemies. This Jesus had nothing. He was a pacifist, turn the other cheek and give him your hat and codpiece or whatever the heck it was. The Messiah was going to abolish Rome. He would lead us to freedom riding on a horse as a warrior king, not wobbling in on a donkey. Jesus was not it. And the radical claim to not only be the Son of God, but God himself? I am convinced that we made the right choice.
You mentioned the claims he made to be the Son of God. You find that offensive?
Yes, absolutely. For Jesus to claim to be the Son of God is in direct violation of the Shema.
Yes, the Shema. That is the Jewish declaration of belief in one God, I believe.
Yes. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. This text can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. Shema is the Hebrew word for hear, which implies the singularity of God. Jesus' claims that he is God implies that God is not one, but many, which makes us no better than the Romans.
You have mentioned in your memoirs that the true Messiah will be heralded not only by freeing the Jews from oppression, but by one far more significant sign, that of peace. Has anyone in the entire history of Israel fulfilled that prophecy?
To date, not a single person in the history of the Israelite people can make that claim. The Messiah will bring peace and prosperity for the Hebrew nation. Jesus was a wimp. The Messiah will be strong. He will bring peace, but it will come through the destruction of our enemies, not just by standing around waiting to be hit. He will unite the people under the Torah and in worship to Adonai, the one Lord and God. This is one of the tests that Jesus failed. Not only did he fail to bring peace, but he divided the people. What is that famous quote of his from the Christian Bible? Matthew something or other, I believe it was, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword." Far from bringing the people together, he was divisive, he was negative, he was a poor kid from the back of nowhere with delusions of grandeur. His strongest supporter, the herald of his reign, was a hermit from the desert who lived on locusts. Really? Locusts? Good for destroying Egypt, but that's about it.
You have gone to considerable lengths to dispute or disprove any claims that Jesus made to be the Messiah. So one final question then. Your own writings declare that this Messiah must be an ordinary person. He will be a great leader, charismatic, dynamic, but human nonetheless. You've stated that far from being the Son of God, Jesus was nothing more than a poor carpenter's son. Ordinary. Wouldn't that at least lend the possibility that he could be the one?
Absolutely not. The simple fact that he declared that he was divine, that he was, if not equal with God, at least the Lord's progeny, automatically disqualifies him from the running. The Messiah will have a firm grasp of his own humanity. He will not try to set himself up as some supreme being.
And the point is really moot anyway. Jesus is gone, and here you sit, the high priest of Israel, at the pinnacle of your career, a respected leader of men. What's next for you?
I'm thinking of writing a book, a treatise on Isaiah. Maybe it's time that somebody examined the messianic prophecies and explained them further. Obviously, there's many people looking in the wrong direction.
And there you have it, folks. The high priest of Israel, the head of the established religious leadership. Thank you, High Priest Caiaphas, for joining us this evening. You have certainly given us a number of things to consider, to ponder, and to ruminate upon. Good night. And then we turn back and we can chat and do a little yakking.
All right.